Good morning, everyone. Life, as we know, is unpredictable. One day, you're standing tall, full of hope, and the next, you're on your knees, broken, wondering how everything collapsed so fast. Some of you know what it means to cry silently at night, to feel like the walls are closing in. Some have lost loved ones, faced betrayal, hit financial rock bottom, battled illness, or fought internal demons no one else could see. Life doesn't ask permission before it delivers pain. But the question is not if pain will come. The question is, how will you face it when it does? Today, I want to talk to you, not with empty optimism, but with honest hope. Because when you're going through the worst moments of your life, the last thing you need is another person telling you to just stay positive or keep smiling. No, what you need is truth, tools, and tenacity. The first step in facing life's darkest hours is to acknowledge your pain. Don't numb it. Don't deny it. Don't bury it. Feel it. Sit with it. Cry if you must. Mourn what was lost. That's not weakness. It's humanity. Suppressing pain doesn't erase it. It just pushes it deeper where it grows in silence. Life's greatest challenges demand that we face them with emotional honesty. Saying, "I'm not okay," is not a sign of failure. It's the start of healing. You don't climb out of a storm by pretending you're not in one. You climb out by admitting you are. Yes, you may be in a dark place, but remember this: the darkness is part of your story, not the end of it. You are more than your trauma. You are more than your grief. You are more than what happened to you. You are more than your worst day. Too often, we allow horrific challenges to become our identity. We start to believe the lie that we are broken beyond repair. But you are not broken. You are wounded, and wounds can heal. You may walk with scars, but scars are not signs of defeat. They're signs of survival. When the waves of life crash over you, you need an anchor, something deeper than the storm that holds you steady. For some, that anchor is faith. For others, it's purpose. Sometimes it's simply the face of someone you love or a memory that reminds you why you have to keep going. Ask yourself, what do I believe in that is stronger than this pain? Find that. Hold it. Revisit it daily. When everything is crumbling, your anchor keeps you from drifting into despair. You don't have to go through it alone. Even if it's just one person, a friend, a mentor, a relative, reach out, talk, be honest. If you're surrounded by people who don't understand you, keep searching until you find those who do. And if you truly have no one, start with yourself. Be the friend to yourself that you've never had. Journal, pray, meditate, speak kindly to your reflection. The road may begin lonely, but you won't walk it alone forever. When life falls apart, the feeling of helplessness can be suffocating. That's why it's crucial to focus on what you can control. Even if it's something as small as making your bed, drinking a glass of water, or stepping outside for 5 minutes of air. Small actions matter. When you're in survival mode, don't aim for perfection, aim for progress. One breath, one decision, 1 hour at a time. Eventually, you'll look back and realize those small steps were actually the bridge that carried you across your darkest days. I want to say something bold to you now. Your pain is not meaningless. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying you deserved it, but I am saying you can rise from it with something powerful in your hands. Some of the world's strongest, kindest, most courageous people are not those who avoided pain, but those who lived through hell and came back with healing in their hearts. Mentor someone who's where you once were. Share your journey, not for attention, but to remind others and yourself that survival is possible. You've survived 100% of your worst days so far. That may sound simple, but think about it. You've made it through pain you thought would kill you. You're still here. That means there is something in you that's stronger than what tried to break you. Resilience is not about being unaffected by hardship. It's about refusing to be destroyed by it. You may stumble, you may fall, you may cry again, but each time you get back up, even if it's slowly, even if it's ugly, you are growing, you are learning, you are rebuilding. No one gets through life unscathed, but you are not powerless. You are not defeated, and you are not alone. The horrific moments may shape you, but they do not have to shatter you. Stand in your truth. Face your pain. Hold on to your anchor. Take one small step each day. And when you can, lift someone else along the way. Because in the end, the most powerful thing you'll ever say is, I went through hell and I came out stronger. Pain is real, and it's not something we can ignore, escape, or pretend away. It comes in many forms: loss, betrayal, failure, illness, heartbreak, disappointment. Sometimes it hits like a sudden storm, tearing through everything in its path. Other times it arrives slowly, a quiet ache that grows over time until it becomes unbearable. Either way, pain is one of life's most powerful forces. It humbles us. It breaks us open. It changes everything. And yet, as real and overwhelming as pain can be, it is not the only thing that exists in those moments. Within the same space that holds your pain, there also lives your power. Your power is not the loud, showy kind that demands attention. It's quiet, steady, and deep. It shows up in the moments when you feel like giving up, but choose to keep going. It's in the decision to get out of bed when the weight of the world is pressing down on your chest. It's in the courage to face another day, to try again, to hope again, even when there's no guarantee things will get better soon. That's power, the kind that doesn't always roar, but refuses to quit. So often, when we are hurting, we believe that our pain defines us. We begin to tell ourselves stories like, I'm broken, I'm weak, I'll never get through this. But those thoughts are not the truth. They are echoes of the pain, not reflections of your strength. The truth is, you are capable of more than you realize. The human spirit is built to survive storms. You've done it before. You've faced things you never thought you could handle, and yet you're still here. That's not by accident. That's resilience. That's power. The world often tells us that being powerful means being in control, being successful, being unshakable. But real power is found in vulnerability, in the raw honesty of saying, this hurts, but I'm still standing. Power is crying your heart out and still showing up for your life. Power is in the choice to heal, even when it's messy and slow. It's in the quiet promise you make to yourself not to let this pain consume you entirely. Sometimes our pain forces us to discover a version of ourselves we didn't know existed. A stronger, braver, more compassionate version. There are lessons pain teaches us that comfort never could. It strips away illusions and reveals what really matters. It sharpens our vision. It deepens our empathy. It shows us who we truly are when everything else is gone. And while we would never choose the pain, we do get to choose how we respond to it. That choice is where our power lives. You can't always change what happened, but you can decide how it shapes you. You can choose to use the pain to grow instead of allowing it to harden you. You can decide to keep your heart open. You can decide to rebuild. You can decide to carry both your scars and your strength. Your pain may be part of your journey, but it is not the end of the story. The fact that you're still breathing means you still have power. Power to rise, power to shift, power to begin again. That power is yours. It always has been. Scars are often seen as flaws, reminders of something painful, something we wish had never happened. We try to cover them, hide them, or pretend they aren't there. But scars tell a different story, one that isn't about weakness, but survival. They are evidence that you went through something that tried to break you and failed. They are proof that while pain came, it didn't win. You did. When we experience trauma, heartbreak, or loss, we don't walk away from it we carry it with us, not just emotionally, but sometimes physically. The body heals, but it leaves marks. The heart heals, but it remembers. That memory can feel heavy, even unbearable at times. But healing doesn't mean forgetting. Healing means being able to live with the memory without letting it control your life. Scars are not pretty. And healing is not linear. Some days you'll feel like you've moved on, only for a smell, a place, or a moment to take you right back. That's part of it. The fact that you feel, the fact that you remember, these are not signs of failure. They're signs that you are human, and still you keep moving forward. There's a kind of strength that only comes from suffering and surviving. It's not the strength of someone untouched by pain, but the strength of someone who has walked through it and still stands with an open heart. That's what scars mean. They don't say, look how I was hurt. They say, look how I healed. Every scar is a testament that you didn't give up when it would have been easier to do so. You didn't let the darkness pull you under. Often people feel ashamed of their past wounds. They think they should have been stronger, faster to recover, more composed. But there is no right way to navigate pain. Everyone's healing process looks different. The timeline is different. The emotions are different. What matters is not how gracefully you carried your burden, but that you carried it at all. You endured. You found your way, step by painful step. Sometimes scars change the way we see ourselves. We become more guarded, more cautious, less trusting. And that's understandable. Pain teaches us where to build boundaries. But if we're not careful, it can also build walls that keep everything out, even the things that are good for us. The challenge is to find the balance, to protect what needs protecting without shutting yourself off from life. Because life, despite its pain, still holds joy, connection, and beauty. Wearing your scars with honesty, not shame, is one of the most courageous things you can do. It invites others to see the real you, not just the polished surface, but the depth underneath. It creates space for real relationships, real healing, and real growth. Your scars can be the very thing that gives someone else the courage to face their own. We don't always get to choose the pain we experience, but we do get to choose what it means. And if you choose to see your scars as survival marks instead of permanent damage, something shifts inside you. You begin to reclaim power from the things that hurt you. You begin to take ownership of your story. And that story, scarred and all, becomes something incredibly powerful, not just for you, but for anyone who's still in the middle of their battle. When life falls apart, the idea of taking giant leaps forward can feel impossible. In the face of heartbreak, loss, failure, or crisis, even the smallest task can seem overwhelming. That's why true strength isn't built through grand gestures or overnight transformations. It's built through small, deliberate steps, tiny actions taken consistently, even in the midst of chaos. These small steps may feel insignificant in the moment, but over time, they become the foundation of unbreakable strength. Waking up and getting out of bed on a day when all you want to do is stay buried under the covers is a step. Drinking water, taking a shower, replying to a message, going for a short walk. Each of these may seem like nothing, especially when your world is in pieces. But they are not nothing. They are powerful acts of resistance against the pull of despair. They are proof that even when everything feels heavy, you are still choosing to show up in small ways. And showing up again and again becomes a habit. That habit becomes a rhythm. And that rhythm is what carries you through. People often talk about comebacks like they happen all at once. One major breakthrough, one moment of glory, one dramatic shift. But the truth is, comebacks are built quietly, in private, through repetition. They are built in the lonely hours when no one else is watching. They are built on the days when motivation is gone, but you act anyway. Real strength is forged not when everything is going well, but when everything is falling apart and you still take the next step. Progress doesn't always look like forward motion. Sometimes it looks like standing still instead of falling back. Sometimes it's about holding on rather than giving up. Sometimes it's simply about breathing through another minute of pain. Those moments matter, they count. And when they accumulate, they change everything. The process is slow and often invisible, but like seeds growing under the soil, something is happening beneath the surface. Something strong is taking root. Small steps also teach you discipline. They teach you how to build habits that don't rely on how you feel in the moment. When everything is uncertain, these routines give structure to your day. They create a sense of control in a world that feels uncontrollable. You may not be able to fix everything overnight, but you can commit to small actions each day that pull you closer to stability, to healing, to purpose. Over time, these tiny steps begin to stack. A walk becomes a run. A journal entry becomes a plan. A single conversation becomes a support system. Little by little, strength returns. Not all at once, but in waves. And with each step, you prove to yourself that you are not powerless, that you can keep going, that you are capable of building something solid even when the foundation feels cracked. There is nothing glamorous about this process. It's hard, it's repetitive, it can feel hopeless at times, but strength built this way is the kind that lasts. It's not dependent on circumstances or emotion. It's steady, it's earned, and it belongs to you because you didn't wait for perfect conditions. You move forward anyway. Eventually, you begin to see the distance between where you started and where you are. You recognize that the strength you have today didn't arrive overnight. It was shaped in silence, grown in difficulty, and earned through hundreds of quiet choices that no one else saw. Those small steps became something unshakable. Your story carries more power than you realize. The experiences you've lived through, the pain, the healing, the survival, are not just memories tucked away in your past. They are tools. They are light for someone else still walking through the darkness you've already known. What you've overcome may be the exact encouragement someone else is desperate to hear. Your story, with all its mess and imperfection, can be someone else's survival guide. There's a common belief that we need to be fully healed, perfectly put together, or highly accomplished before we're qualified to help others. But that's not true. The most impactful people are not the ones with spotless records or perfect answers. They're the ones who've lived through the struggle and can speak honestly from the middle of the mess. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be real. You need to be willing to say, I've been there too. Sharing your story doesn't mean you have to broadcast every detail to the world. Sometimes it looks like a quiet conversation with a friend who's hurting. Sometimes it's a piece of writing that finds its way to someone who needs it. Sometimes it's just being present, listening, and offering empathy that only someone who's been through it can give. That kind of presence has weight. It's powerful because it's rooted in truth, not theory. When you tell your story, you break silence. And silence is often what isolates people in their pain. They think they're the only ones feeling what they feel, facing what they face. But when you open up, you create space for connection. You remind someone that they are not alone, not broken, beyond repair, not crazy for feeling the way they do. That sense of being seen, really seen, is often the beginning of healing. Your journey can become a roadmap, not because it guarantees someone else the same path or outcome, but because it offers perspective. It says, this is how I made it through, and invites someone else to find their own strength in the process. Your pain, transformed into wisdom, becomes a resource. Your mistakes become lessons. Your scars become signs that survival is possible. There's also something healing about using your story to help others. It gives meaning to what once felt meaningless. It transforms suffering into service. It shifts the narrative from why did this happen to me to how can this help someone else? That shift is where power lives. It doesn't erase the pain, but it gives it purpose. And purpose gives you forward momentum. Sometimes the person your story helps most is you. When you speak it out loud, when you own it without shame, when you use it to lift someone else, you reclaim pieces of yourself that pain once tried to steal. You begin to see your story not as a burden, but as a source of strength. You begin to understand that survival was never just about you. It was about the people your story would one day read. You don't have to have the perfect words or the perfect ending. You just have to be willing to tell the truth of where you've been and how you're finding your way forward. That truth, spoken with courage, carries more impact than you can measure. It has the power to open doors, break chains, and give life to someone who's hanging on by a thread. Your survival isn't just your own. It's someone else's hope in waiting.